This video is going to look at the ending of Life is Strange in close detail, so, spoilers. So the tornado approaches Arcadia Bay, where Max and Chloe realise that all the natural irregularities that have been going on have been caused by their messing about with time, leaving Max to make a choice. Either head back in time and sacrifice her best friend to put everything right, or let the town be destroyed. A fairly harrowing choice, but upon closer examination, and a little hindsight, there are some creepy implications made by this ending. Yes, there are plot holes and evidence of dropped sub-stories, but I'm going to mostly focus on the game as it actually shipped. Given that a sequel has all but been announced, perhaps we'll be getting answers in due time, but for now I'm left with these questions and peculiar thoughts, which has resulted in me coming up with 4 depressing implications about the future of Max and Arcadia Bay. Starting with point number 1. Max has the powers of a god, yet is forbidden from ever using them. In both endings, it's never stated or even implied that Max has somehow lost her powers, so the only assumption left is that she still has them, though all the death and misery in the series was supposedly caused by her simply using them once, so Max now has to go for the rest of her days, ignoring this massive side of her life. If she sees some kid get hit by a car whilst crossing the road, she's just gonna have to let it happen, because... Point number 2. The powers that be exist, and they're a bunch of dicks. There is a force at work in this universe, whether you want to call it God or nature, though I'm going to call them the powers that be, or PTB for short. Whoever they are, they exist, and have a very delicate plan for how things should be, and it doesn't want anyone messing with it. When one person is saved instead of killed, they start flipping their shit and kill birds, whales, and eventually everyone. Sure, Chloe dying eventually led to Nathan getting arrested, as well as creepy Mr. Jefferson, but I seriously doubt that was their master plan the whole time. They were willing to destroy an entire town. I doubt they actually care about justice or whatever. They come off as more stubborn children who throw tantrums when they don't get their way. They even seem a little bit vindictive, as even if you go way back in time and change things in a major way, the PTB still demand that Chloe must die for some reason. And while they sort of stopped a serial killer, they have ruined a life because... Point number 3. Max can't relate to another human being for the rest of her life. Sure, Max gets to live another day, but at what cost? She has seen behind the curtain now and understands some fundamental truths about the universe. What's more, she cannot tell another living soul about it because nobody would believe her, and even if she did try to tell someone, she can't prove it because of point number 1. This, plus some rather traumatic events of the last week, must be leaving her with some rather serious post-traumatic stress disorder, which she has no choice but to internalise. Even if she was to tell a psychiatrist about it, she'd probably be convinced that the week's events never actually happened. Any relationship she forms will be strained and more than likely fall apart. There will always be this major aspect of her life that she has to keep hidden. Not helping is the knowledge that... Point number 4. Free will does not exist, and Max knows. We already know that changing the future is not appreciated by the PTB, who admittedly I may be personifying a little too much here, but that must also mean that there must be a plan for all things. Certain things must happen to certain people at certain times, and there's nothing you can do about it. Though this does bring up the question of how Max even got her powers in the first place. The only assumption I can make is that it was the powers that be that gave it to her, either on purpose or by accident, and her using said powers, that she didn't ask for by the way, resulted in an ending that I'm sure was meant to be a bittersweet, coming of age, take responsibility sort of thing, but in hindsight felt more like the powers that be were holding Arcadia Bay hostage and forcing Max to kill Chloe for their own pleasure. Even if you choose the other ending, there's no reason to believe that the powers that be would stop there. In fact, I'm a little surprised that the final shot of the game didn't have the tornado chasing after the Jeep or something. I read somewhere that Chloe's necklace is symbolism for the number of times she died throughout the game and that she would actually be safe now or something, but I don't buy it. The powers that be just destroyed an entire town to try and get her. I doubt that they would think, oh well, she got away 3 times, she's earned a wee break. That might just make them try even harder. I even got something of a mafioso vibe from them in this scene where the butterfly was meant to symbolise Chloe's spirit or something, but felt more like a gangster warning not to get in her way again. Or you'll fly with the butterflies, or sleep with the fishes. Oh, I'll cut that joke out. Having said all this, I still really liked this game. I liked the relationships, the characters, especially Max. The puzzles got more interesting as the game went on, and there's some real genuine emotion and love in here. It's probably one of my favourite games this year. It's just the ending, well, not totally bad, just feels fumbled. So many plot lines were dropped before the finish line, and it's at odds with everything that the game has been building up to. All in all, the main question I have is, what was the lesson here? What did Max learn? Why did this heartfelt coming-of-age story end in such a bleak, unsatisfying way? I have nothing against a sad ending, I'm as much of a sap as the next guy, but it didn't feel totally earned. The final episode tries to make it seem like it was all our fault all along. Yet, despite this one point,
I only wanted to do the right thing.
No, you only wanted to be popular.
which I actually enjoyed, it all felt quite flat. Max didn't ask for this, she made the best of a crazy situation. It's fairly clear that the game was heading in one direction, but had to change for whatever reason, whether technical or financial, which is a shame as the game deserved a much more satisfying conclusion. The yet-to-be-announced sequel is said to revolve around new characters and a new situation, but I'm going to have trouble getting over this nagging feeling that there's something more creepy and insidious going on in the background. I'd love some actual interaction in one form or another with the powers that be, though personally I'd also love to see Max tie a red bandana around her head and pick a fist fight with God for ruining her life. But that's just me.
I wish I had an American girl.